Hello, I'm Ultimate Reviews of Ultimate Animation, and 2021 was, well, more of the same. But once again, animation has been the one light in the immense darkness. There's been a ton of amazing things to come out of the medium, from films to shows to even shorts. And I'm going to try and get to every single one at some point. But weirdly enough, the most impactful piece of animation last year, to me, is actually something that's been a staple of the animation world for the better part of a decade now. Hold on a second, a decade? Fuck, I'm getting old. Anyway, I'm obviously talking about the delightful cartoon sitcom Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers is the ultimate comfort show for me, and it keeps getting better and better with each new season, up to and including its now 12th season. That's insane. Most shows run out of steam around season 4 or 5, and even the ones that continue to be good beyond that still have a large concentration of duds near the end, but not this show. I usually don't like to review things that aren't finished. Like, there's a few cartoons I've yet to tackle that I want to because I'm waiting for the conclusion, in case I, miss anything. But with the movie coming out this year and the show showing no signs of slowing down, I felt it was the perfect time to give it some love. So join me in this analysis and celebration of one of my personal favourite cartoons of the last decade, as it continues into its second. This is Bob's Burgers. Like most cartoon sitcoms, it has a very simple premise, but it still manages to include a twist that still makes it more unique than most. The show follows the day-to-day misadventures of the Belcher family. The sensible and good-hearted Bob Belcher runs his dream burger restaurant with the help of his family, his outgoing wife Linda, and 3 kids, Tina, Jean, and Louise. And that's really about it. The concept of a misfit nuclear family going on adventures in a slice-of-life setting isn't new for your average animated sitcom, but changing the structure by having a unique setting, in this case a restaurant, opens up a lot of possibilities, and they take full advantage of that. It also gives the show an excuse to have the family be involved in the same situations. The premise is fairly simple, but again, it's the situations and adventures experienced by these entertaining, likeable characters that make it interesting. The tone is also a big draw, with it feeling much more relaxed and down-to-earth than your standard adult cartoons, but with larger-than-life characters and the slight cartoony exaggeration and flair in the plots to keep it from getting too stale. It achieves that beautiful middle ground that makes it identifiable while still being fully engaging. The characters are definitely the best element, with each one having a ton of personality, and a large part of the comedy is dialogue-heavy and comes just from them interacting off each other.
Why are you saying that, Gene?
It's a book!
Oh, right. A kid's book, yeah.
Yeah, by Salman Rushdie.
It's not by Salman Rushdie.
Of course it is.
It isn't.
Yes, it is.
I'm not going to talk to you anymore, Gene. I'm in a wall.
I'll go through the main characters, then a brief selection of my favourite or the most notable ones to give a fair coverage. Bob is the title character, so I'll start with him. Bob is the pragmatic owner of the restaurant, trying his best to keep his dream alive while making ends meet. He's more reserved than the other members of his family and can be socially awkward, but still tries his best to support them in their general insanity, while also reining them in when necessary. His passion for what he does, combined with his desire to do right by his family, makes him very likable, and you want to see him succeed in his endeavours. Linda provides an excellent contrast for Bob. While Bob is reserved, Linda is fully outgoing and has a very large personality. Her creativity, passion, and enthusiasm is turned up to 11. Now, some characters with similar traits really overstay their welcome and become annoying as a result, but Linda is just so kind-hearted and funny, she never gets to that point, and remains a delight to watch whenever she's on screen. The two of them complement each other perfectly, and despite their clear differences, they still manage to work together, making them one of the best couples in animation. Next is the kids. Tina is the extremely awkward older sibling, trying to navigate the confusing and strange teenage years, including popularity, embarrassment, and boys. She tries to fit in, but much like Bob, she's much more reserved and not great at expressing herself in ways most people would, often being either monotone or explosive with emotions, with very little in between. She gets flustered and anxious very easily. I can relate to Tina a lot, I'm sure I'm not the only one, about trying to find a place in the crowd but not quite getting it right, and that makes her very identifiable, so again you want to see her succeed. But she's not just socially inept and that's it, she's also fairly competent with a range of things, and despite usually objecting to the insane plans of Louise and Jean, will usually still come along for the adventure anyway, if for no other reason than to make sure they're safe and don't do anything stupid. Overall, a welcomed addition to the roster, and a much-needed second voice of reason if Bob's not available. Gene is the middle child who's usually just in his own world and trying to enjoy himself as much as possible regardless of the actual goal. He's along for the ride and usually just trying to have fun. What can you say about Gene beyond he's really funny? His strange Geneisms, for lack of a better word, always manage to get a laugh out of me, whether they be just normal funny or just so strange you can't help but laugh. He usually doesn't play a big role in the story. Like I said, he's just kind of along for the ride, but even so, his presence definitely adds a lot, and the times he does manage to be the focus of an episode, it usually ends up working really well. Louise is the youngest of the Belcher kids, and if I had to pick a favourite character out of the main family, it would be her. I can't help it, she's just this hilarious whirlwind of chaotic neutral energy and borderline maniacal genius and never fails to make me laugh. Probably helping is that Kristen Schull's doing the voice, and she's one of my favourite voice actors, and all her characters are delightful. Louise is no exception. She's intelligent, charismatic, and has some of the funniest lines with her sarcasm, or just her insane delivery when she fully goes off the rails.
Don't tell me to shut up! Question 1. It's my daddy!
God!
How did you first get into bank robbing?
Even with her chaotic nature, she's not completely self-serving though, as she cares for people, especially her family, more than she'd like to let on, and often has moments of genuine moral reflection when she'll go out of her way to help her friends or her family, or really anyone if they can't help themselves. She does have this strange sort of moral code to her, and that makes her much more grounded like the rest of them, and keeps her feeling balanced rather than too over the top. Now, what's good about the Belchers as a whole is how they subvert the typical animated sitcom tropes that have been plaguing the genre ever since every single one since 1989 has been trying to copy the Simpsons formula without understanding what made it work to begin with. The typical sitcom family is a dumbass dad, an erotic controlling mother, and 3 kids, usually a smart one, a dumb one, and a few wild cards thrown in. It's been done to death and usually not that interesting. Occasionally, it's cleverly subverted, and thankfully, adult animation has branched out a bit since, but it's still common to just play it straight. Bob's Burgers takes that trope and throws it out the window, still using the 5 family members model, but changing it up quite a bit. But with the purpose of creating a unique and actually likable family dynamic that's more true to life. Bob isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's not a lazy idiot. He's usually the voice of reason for the family, and is very motivated. He's just not that sociable compared to the other family members. Linda isn't neurotic or controlling. She's fun-loving and adventurous and involved in her family's life without going overboard. They are not only complementary, but also push each other to try new things, and even if they don't always get it, they support each other in their endeavors at all times. It really feels like they love each other, and perhaps most importantly, I'm not left asking why the fuck they got married in the first place. The kids aren't neglected or constantly bickering with them. They're actually a constructive, healthy family unit despite their flaws and capacity to playfully mess with each other. And they're all likable. Who knew it was possible? Yeah, Family Guy review coming soon. Anyway, this is where a lot of the strength of the show comes from, just seeing these charming characters work off of each other in these new and interesting scenarios. But the rest of the cast is equally very solid, so let's take a look at some of them. There's Teddy, the handyman and close family friend of the Belchers. He's not always super focused or very self-aware, but he's so kind and clearly trying to be helpful, you can't help but like him. I'd almost count him as an additional member of the Belchers family, seeing as he's around so often. There's Mort, the surprisingly upbeat mortician, where death-associated characters are usually miserable or creepy. Mort's just a normal guy who takes pride in what he does. He's very fun to watch. Rudy, a wimpy kid plagued with various ailments who ends up involved in the kids' adventures one way or another. Jimmy Jr., Tina's biggest crush and son of the rival restaurant owner, who is usually too focused on dancing to notice Tina's affection. Zeke, Jimmy Jr.'s friend obsessed with wrestling, who usually follows him into the Belchers' newest journey and usually doesn't mind the chaos. Andy and Ollie, Jimmy Jr.'s younger brothers, who are a strange pair of twins with various quirks, usually just happy to be there. Daryl, the smart kid, who's not particularly brave or strong, but makes up for it with his brains and also helps Bob with a video game that one time. Marshmallow, who is my personal favourite side character, who I like so much I put her as number 6 on my top 10 LGBTQ characters video, so check that out if you want to know more about her. And so many others. Dr. Yap, the hairdresser Gretchen, Linda's sister Gail, Mr. Frond, the biker gangs, Mike the mailman, Nat the limo driver, and so many more. Way too many to list in this video. Of course, not all of them are like that. There are the occasional annoying characters like Hugo the Health Inspector, or Jimmy Pesto, or Logan, or Tammy. Tammy is the worst, I despise that character. But every show needs antagonists, and the characters you're supposed to like are very likeable, and outweigh the others massively. With a few exceptions, the characters are an absolute blast to watch, and feel almost real to a certain extent. Once again, they're all very charming. And that's the best word to describe this show. It's extraordinarily charming. It's almost impossible to watch it and not smile. And with all the shit going on in the world, that is exactly what we need to get through it. There is the odd dud episode, which is true of all shows, but they're still far and few in between. And for a show that's now in its 12th season to still be making hit after hit, and to stay fun and enjoyable, and to just keep getting better and better each season, that's very commendable. But I don't think I can fully sum up how good this show is, so I thought I'd make this a sort of two-part video and make a top 10 best episodes list. That will be coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Check out the show to see for yourself, and I hope to see you there. Peace out.
Hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper. 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 Hamburger,